For 400 years, Israel had no king. And for 40 of those years, Israel lived under the thumb of the Philistines. Oppression had gone on for so long that the Israelites had almost stopped crying out for help. They had grown used to survival, used to fear, used to defeat. In the territory of the tribe of Dan lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They carried a quiet sorrow. They had no children. One day, everything changed. An angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife with an astonishing message. "You have been unable to have children, but you will conceive and give birth to a son. This child would be different. He was never to drink wine, never to touch anything unclean or dead, and his hair was never to be cut." This child had been set apart for God before he was even born, and the angel gave one final promise. He will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines.
This is the story of Samson.
Manoah heard what had happened. He prayed,
O Lord, listen to my voice.
"Send the messenger back so they could learn how to raise the child who had been promised." God answered his prayer. The messenger returned, and again the instructions were given. The child was to remain set apart, consecrated, dedicated to God from the very beginning of his life. Then Manoah prepared an offering. As the sacrifice burned upon the altar, something extraordinary happened. The angel of the Lord rose upward, ascending within the flames themselves. Manoah and his wife fell to the ground in terror. Manoah was certain they would die. "We have seen God," he said, but his wife answered with wisdom, "If the Lord had intended to kill us, he would not have accepted our offering, nor shown us all these things." In time, the promise was fulfilled. A son was born. They named him Samson. And as the boy grew, the Spirit of the Lord began to stir within him. Israel's deliverer had arrived. Samson grew into a man, and one day he went down to Timnah, a Philistine town. There he saw a Philistine woman and decided he wanted to marry her. He didn't ask his parents for advice. He demanded it. "Get her for me. She's the one I want." His parents were shocked. "Isn't there a woman among our own people?" they asked. "Why would you marry one of the Philistines, the very people who oppress us?" But Samson refused to listen. "Get her for me," he said. "She is right in my eyes." Those words reveal more than Samson realized. In the days of the judges, everyone did what was right in their own eyes, and Samson was no different. He was driven by impulse, by desire, and by the belief that what he wanted mattered most. Yet behind the scenes, God was still at work. The scriptures tell us that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an opportunity against the Philistines. God would use even Samson's flawed choices to accomplish his greater purpose. As Samson traveled toward Timnah, something unexpected happened. A young lion suddenly charged out from the vineyards. In an instant, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson. Without a weapon, with nothing but his bare hands, Samson seized the lion and tore it apart, as easily as someone might tear apart a young goat. Then he quietly walked away. He told no one, not even his own parents. Some time later, Samson returned to Timnah for the wedding. Passing the place where the lion had fallen, he looked into its lifeless carcass and discovered a swarm of bees. Inside the lion, they had made honey. Samson reached in, scooped out the honey with his hands, and ate it as he walked. Then he gave some to his parents, but never told them where it had come from. It seemed like a small secret, but it revealed something deeper about Samson. He often hid the truth, broke God's commands quietly, and followed his own path without telling anyone. When the wedding feast began, Samson entertained the 30 Philistine companions with a challenge. "I'll give you a riddle," he said. "If you solve it within 7 days, I'll give each of you a fine set of clothing. But if you can't, you'll give the same to me." Then he spoke the riddle. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. The men was completely puzzled. Day after day they searched for the answer, but they found nothing. Desperate, they turned to Samson's bride. They threatened her. "Find out the answer, or we'll burn your father's house down with you inside it." Terrified, she wept before Samson. Every day she pleaded, every day she cried, every day she begged him to tell her. Finally, worn down by her constant tears, Samson gave in. He told her the answer. She immediately revealed it to the Philistine men. On the 7th day, just before sunset, they approached Samson with confident smiles. "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" In that instant, Samson knew exactly what had happened. His face hardened, his voice burned with anger. "If you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle." Consumed with fury, Samson traveled to Ashkelon, another Philistine city. There he struck down 30 men, took their garments, and brought the clothing back to settle his wager. Then, still burning with anger, Samson abandoned the wedding and returned to his father's house. Believing the marriage was over, the bride's father gave her to another man, the very companion who had stood beside Samson during the wedding. This moment would become the pattern of Samson's life, God-given strength, mixed with uncontrolled anger, entangled with personal revenge. Again and again his greatest battles would begin with the choices of his own heart. Some time later, Samson returns to visit his wife, bringing a young goat as a gift. But when he arrives, he learns that her father has already given her to another man. Instead, the father offers Samson her younger sister. Samson is enraged. His revenge is as bizarre as it is unforgettable. He catches 300 foxes, ties them together in pairs, tail to tail, places a burning torch between each pair, then releases them into the Philistines' grain fields, vineyards, and olive groves. Everything burns. The Philistines retaliate, but not against Samson. Instead, they burn his former wife and her father to death. Samson responds with brutal vengeance, attacking and slaughtering many of them in what scripture describes as striking them hip and thigh. A relentless, no-holds-barred massacre. Afterward, he retreats to a cave. But the violence only escalates. The Philistines march into Judah, demanding that Samson be handed over. So 3,000 of Samson's own countrymen come to him and say, "Don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What have you done to us?" Notice what's happening here. They're not angry at the Philistines, they're angry at Samson. But disturbing the status quo, it's a revealing moment. Israel has become so accustomed to living under oppression that they'd rather surrender their own deliverer than fight for their freedom. Samson agrees to be bound and handed over on one condition, that his own people will not kill him themselves. They tie him with 2 brand new ropes and lead him to the Philistines. But the moment his enemies close in, the Spirit of the Lord rushes upon him once again, The ropes snap like burnt thread. Samson reaches down, finds the jawbone of a dead donkey, and with it, kills 1,000 men. After the battle, utterly exhausted and dying of thirst, Samson cries out to God. This is one of the few times in his story that we hear him pray for anything other than revenge. God answers. He splits open a hollow place in the ground, and water pours out. Samson drinks, his strength returns, and he names the place the spring of the one who cried out. After this, Samson judges Israel for 20 years. Later, Samson travels to Gaza, deep inside Philistine territory, where he spends the night with a prostitute. When the Philistines discover he's there, they surround the city and station themselves at the gates, planning to ambush him at dawn. But Samson has other plans. In the middle of the night, he gets up, tears the entire city gate, doors, posts, and bar straight out of its foundations, lifts it onto his shoulders, and carries it uphill to a hilltop near Hebron, roughly 25 miles away. It's an almost comically exaggerated display of strength, but it also reveals something else, a growing sense of invincibility, and that overconfidence is about to become the very thing that destroys him. Samson falls in love with a woman named Delilah in the valley of Sorek. Unlike his wife, or the prostitute before her, Delilah isn't identified as either Israelite or Philistine, making everything that follows even more unsettling. One day, the Philistine rulers approach her with an offer. Find out the secret of Samson's strength, they tell her, and each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. That's an astonishing amount of money. From this moment on, there's little doubt about Delilah's motivation. She's doing it for the reward. What happens next is one of the Bible's most quietly devastating scenes, not because it's filled with violence, but because it reveals just how blind Samson has become. Delilah looks him in the eyes and asks, "Tell me, what makes you so strong? How could someone overpower you?" Samson lies. "If I'm tied with 7 fresh bowstrings that have never been dried," he says, "I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah waits until he's vulnerable. She binds him with the bowstrings, while Philistine soldiers hide nearby, waiting for her signal. Then she suddenly shouts, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you!" Instantly, he snaps the bowstrings as though they were nothing. He escapes without effort, but here's what's remarkable. He already knew she had betrayed him, and he stayed anyway? Delilah asks again. Samson lies again. This time, he says, "Tie me with brand new ropes that have never been used." Again, she does exactly what he tells her. Again, men wait in hiding. Again, she cries, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." And again, he tears through the ropes as if they were pieces of thread. Still, he doesn't leave. A third time she asks him. This time he tells her to weave the 7 locks of his hair into a loom. She waits until he falls asleep, then quietly does exactly that. Once more she shouts, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He wakes, pulls the loom free, and walks away as if nothing happened. Think about what's happening here. 3 separate times Delilah has tried to hand Samson over to his enemies. 3 separate times Samson has watched her do it. And 3 separate times he goes right back to her. Finally, Delilah changes her approach. "How can you say you love me," she says, "when your heart isn't with me? You've mocked me these 3 times and still haven't told me the secret of your great strength." Day after day, she keeps asking, day after day, she keeps wearing him down until, as the Bible puts it, his soul was vexed to death. At last, Samson gives in. He tells her everything. "No razor has ever touched my head," he says. "I've been dedicated to God as a Nazirite from birth. If my head is shaved, my strength will leave me. I'll become as weak as any other man." This time, Delilah knows he's finally told her the truth. She lets him fall asleep with his head resting in her lap. Then she quietly calls for a man. One by one, Samson's 7 locks are shaved away. Once again she cries out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." Samson wakes, expecting everything to happen exactly as it always has. "I'll go out as before," he thinks, "and shake myself free." But then comes one of the most chilling lines in the entire Bible. He did not know that the Lord had left him. His strength was never really in his hair. His hair was only the outward sign of a sacred covenant with God. A relationship Samson had been slowly abandoning his entire life. His impulsiveness, his pride, his compromises, his disregard for the vow that had set him apart. The hair was simply the last remaining thread. When it was cut, the Spirit of God departed, and Samson didn't even realize it until it was too late. The Philistines seized him. They gouged out his eyes, bound him with bronze chains, and led him down to Gaza, the very city whose gates he had once carried away in victory. Now he entered it in chains, blind, broken, humiliated. The mighty judge of Israel was forced to grind grain in a prison, work normally reserved for slaves or even animals. The strongest man in Israel reduced to darkness. Time passes. The hair of his head began to grow again. The Philistines hold a massive celebration to their god, Dagon, crediting him for delivering their enemy into their hands. Thousands gather at the temple, rulers, nobles, and the text says about 3,000 more watching from the roof. In the middle of the festivities, someone has an idea: to bring Samson out to perform for the crowd, to be mocked, to be laughed at. The great strong man reduced to entertainment for the very people he used to terrorize. They stand him between the 2 central pillars supporting the temple's roof. Samson asks the servant boy leading him by the hand, "Let me feel the pillars so I can lean against them." Then Samson prays, his last and most honest prayer in the entire story. "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more, so that with one act I may pay back the Philistine for my 2 eyes." Notice what he doesn't ask for. Not rescue, not a future, just one more act. An act of vengeance, yes, but also, finally, an act of purpose. He's not trying to escape his fate, he's trying to make it count. He places one hand on each pillar and pushes with all his strength. The temple collapses, killing everyone inside, Samson included. The text ends the account with a haunting statistic. Samson killed more Philistines in his death than he had in his entire life. His family comes and retrieves his body, burying him in his father's tomb. And the book of Judges closes his story the same way it opened. He had led Israel for 20 years.